Hi, we're here with another uh, sort of box that I had randomly collected. But before then, um, um, thought this was sort of interesting. I believe this came with the theme deck that we opened, but it's a sort of uh, map of all. I believe this covers actually, even though this was in the first set, it looks like they had the um, featured um, cryptids for um, most of the first three or more sets as I wilderness that and a sort of index. But I thought that was a very nice touch that they included that. Um, Although it really shows, you know, it's sort of interesting. You've got these, well, except for maybe a bit in that northwest corner there, just these densely packed regions where uh, the majority of the population lives. Is that a coincidence that you've got somehow the highest density of these supposedly secret and elusive creatures right in the middle of our most populated areas? That's sort of interesting since you can take that one of two ways. Either, well, the way I take it mainly is that the most amount of stories is where the most amount of people are. I also have something else that's not card related today. Um, she, it's an artist. I became aware of her through. She did a shirt for Blizzard's breast cancer awareness campaign for Overwatch. Um, she's her handle is Vicky Sai, and she did this for quite some time. But at the time, I didn't have the financial means to support it. But recently, she has relaunched her Patreon, and so I've been supporting that since around February. I missed the first month she relaunched it, but every month you can get a sticker, a postcard, or both. Uh, the name is Vicky Sai, but I've been a huge fan of her work since I first saw it, and so I've been happy that this time when she's relaunched it, that I've had the means to be collecting it. So, have a box. I do not exactly know what's in here. It looks like it should be uh, mostly the I've been a huge Final Fantasy fan for most of my life. The first one I remember seeing played, I never really got the chance to. The first one I saw played was 4. Um, the first one I ever played was 10. Uh, for some reason, my parents wouldn't let me get uh, 7 or 8. Though I really wanted them. I thought they just looked amazing. Uh, and I remember just looking at they experimented with having PC versions for those for some reason. I don't think they did with any others until very recently with the advent of Steam. But for some reason, they had PC versions of 7 or 8, and I just remember just really wishing I could get it. But so for all my life, I've just really liked the series. But so I first found out about this, I believe, like most people did, through the Dissidia, the remake, or well, not really a remake, but the later version of Dissidia that was on PS4. And that included a few promos. This was launching in the US at least at or near the same time. A lot of these, I believe, I bought the 10 starter pack. Which I believe is where most of these came from. And then I also just bought a lot of random cards that looked interesting but were relatively cheap. So there's a lot of these tactics characters, tactics Advance, and that whole series are also one of my favorites. But most of these came, I believe, from that 10 starter pack. Maybe if the prices are still low, I'll get another to open. Because like that whole, I think that's one of their more well together put ones, or maybe all of them are like that. But that really stood out to me. So I don't think there's anything really of that much value in there. This game seems to suffer. Well, I mean, all games of this type do to some extent, but I believe Weiss Schwarz is notorious for it. So I still don't like, I mean, I believe all of this art we've seen so far, like if you grew up buying the guides, or maybe if you've picked up Ultimania, I mean, you've seen all of this art multiple times over in different places. So to me, I was just really disappointed that, you know, they just reused all this art, that there was no new art. So 90% of the cards in this game, it's just realized art or screen grabs from the cutscenes. So that to me was just very disappointing that they'd go that route. It just really doesn't feel special to me. Um, so that's one of my major reasons I never really actually got into it. I believe I said it before. I love these. I have like this card back has such a unique texture that I've never come across before. I really like it. I believe this was the face card of that starter set. But this game seems to suffer from the same syndrome as Weiss Schwarz, in that 95% of these cards have very little to no value. Now this foiling, it's not as bad here. I do actually like this foiling on this card. But that was also another reason I really didn't like it, is those promos. I believe I found one that I put in here that I can show you later, maybe. But the promos they had for Dissidia, this foiling, I'm not sure if this is slightly different. I believe it is, but it's just so intense and it just covers up everything. Although in this card you can really, depending on the angle, really see the background. But it's just so intense that I just it's just really overwhelming to me. And when your entire card is just nothing but foil, which it is a rather solid foiling process that they use. There's I picked these up a few years ago and haven't stored them in any special way. Oh, this is the one, which this one actually I happened to find last night while looking for this. It actually wasn't stored with them. As you can tell, it's got a bit of a crease. But this was one of the promos. I couldn't find the others. I believe the other two were Cloud and the Warrior of Light. Even though these are some of the first cards from the game, I don't believe it has any real value. But yes, just the foiling's overwhelming. There's nothing, it doesn't really feel that great just using existing assets. Which I believe that's some of the art for Dissidia, which makes sense. But it just, the whole mood of it just really put me off the game. Yeah, I'm not sure where my other two went. But yes, there have to be so many cents. I mean, I don't know what the sales were on Dissidia, but I imagine it did numbers. So I imagine there must be millions of those. This with some Amano concept art. If you're a fan of this series, I highly recommend The Sky. The Ultimania books also feature a lot, but just the presentation, the way his art is presented in The Sky, it's just really something to behold. bit of these I don't recognize this art, so but a bit of a nice drawing of a white mage there. Um, Another white mage. But yes, so in Vice Shorts, and this has it in large amounts too, um, most of the cards, uh, they're not particularly rare, and it's just there's a handful of alternate art or special treatment cards that have like just 90% of the value, and that you can pick most of, like, I would say probably 80% to 90% of these cards for 50% or less, or 50 cents or less. With some lovely art of Quina. I am not a huge fan of this character, but that is a beautiful rendition. I have not ever played the Mobius. I think I did try it for about 10 minutes because it looked like they put a lot of effort into the visuals compared to a lot of their other mobile attempts. But the gameplay was very lackluster, and it's another Shiva, this one from the original Tactics. Do you think in some of these, I'm not really sure what set any of these are from, but they did seem to get better at integrating the art. No, 12 is actually, well, I actually haven't played 15. Uh, 12, besides 15, 12 is the only other one I've never finished. So I am actually not familiar with this version of Shiva. Unalesca. Some more Black Mage and some more Amano concept art. I believe this is Was the one I had yesterday also Babas? I believe this is a different version. Assassin, my absolute favorite unit in Tactics Advance. And a lightning cosplaying Gazuna. Then I've got a foil Shiva and two versions of this particular Shiva. So there is also, I'm not sure where these are from, but there also seems to be some random magic in here. I believe these are leftover cards from building commander decks. Also, for some reason, I believe maybe it's just because of the indestructible, but I think I believe the Kaldheim, is it? Oh, some beautiful Rebecca Guay art there of this Dryad. I believe that the set that they did that was Norse inspired, D&D version of everybody's favorite budget commander channel. So I think this is mainly leftover cards that I did not use. Looks like I've got a lot of this series of lands, but it's mainly just these cards that ended up being unused, or I thought, oh, surprising this here. This shouldn't be in here really. They did a series of these cards that were themed on Dracula on one of the recent Innistrad sets. And I had bought two sets, one for my brother and one for me, because I don't know so much anymore, but Dracula, it was just about his favorite book for a while. And so I got him those. And I also wanted a set for myself. But I was missing two. And I think those might be it. I had reordered them, so I guess I'll see if I have them or not. But yeah, I'm surprised those were in here since the rest of the Dracula cards shouldn't be. It's like a lot of Strixhaven. Interesting island there. Oh. And this must be I made a fairy tribal deck. This must be something I opted out of using. I think I basically bought about one copy of every fairy in the game, which actually isn't that many. There's only actually ever been a few sets that have included fairies. That's really beautiful art on that. Then it's like a art card of an intense looking guy there. I love and hate this card. I hate it gives me a jump every time I draw it, but it is a infamous card. Oops, I believe it's that same artist from that other white bordered card. A lot of people hate the white border. I actually kind of like it. Beautiful plains. Oh, and that's very striking. And I believe we are full circle, yes. Surprised this has never found a home. Just beautiful art though. Another of that plains. another Rebecca Guay card. Instantly recognizable. Looks like another card I just decided to stock up on because I thought it would be useful. Looks like I need to revisit a few of my decks. Beautiful version of Access Tunnel. I just picked these up because I was afraid snow-covered lands were going to become a thing again. I think it's because my fairy deck ended up being blue-black. Otherwise, I can't imagine why I wouldn't have used that. So that seems like auto-include. Looks like some of the Jumpstart lands. I think I was going with the idea that I would make a Azra deck, but there's been just so few of them, and I'm not sure if they even have a legal commander. An auto include for any tribal. That's why I probably picked them up. Quite a few of those Gifts of Paradise. I think I just enjoyed the idea of that card. Some surreal trees there. Some more of the Jumpstart lands. I believe they might just be included now in a lot of the pre-cons, and maybe that's why I never some more bridges. Very stark island. And that brings us full circle with that. So the remaster, Time Spiral remaster version of Ikromi. land from Neo Kamigawa. Neon Kamigawa is more or less the set that I stopped caring about Magic. It's a beautiful card. My friends had all largely stopped playing at that point, and well, it was a particular story element but I just stopped caring because of it and the direction it made it seem the game was going, and that's the completion of Tamio, who was one of my favorite planeswalkers and characters in general. But it signaled this direction that was very comic book like, and that is just like who's getting completed, who's getting killed, and it felt like there were so many people that you just knew none of it would stick. I believe this is from a Secret Lair, this version of Elspeth, another of my absolute favorite characters. But and I believe, proven to be right. I just looking through the deck lists and seeing all the completed and then desparked characters. It's just like so much that you had to keep track of mentally now, and it just felt so comic book like. War of the Spark was already very comic book like, but like, you know, that was the zeitgeist, and you could kind of forgive them for wanting to do their own Avengers style event, but it's just sort of been made clear that another full art land that that's just going to be the story pattern from now on, that we'll just have a couple years of sets where the story is just leading up to this big comic book style event. Very intense. Leonin. Another version of that Elspeth. And I believe these are artist proofs that I got from, yes, uh, from backing a collection of tokens. Uh, and then another misplaced card, it would seem, since would not have expected to find this one in here. But that's all we have for today. Tomorrow, there will be no stream. Our next stream will be on Wednesday, and we might be doing our first full box opening, most likely Wilderness, maybe something else. So I'll be seeing you.